Dad, do you think people should have in America or globally the right to a free education?
No,
Why not?
because if you want a higher education, you need to pay for it. And you need to pay for it, not somebody else, because you're going to get your debt forgiven.
Why do you think that is, though? Why is that system good in your mind that we should have to pay for it?
Well, I'll tell you what's happened. These colleges have gotten rich off of the government, and I'm the government. I'm the one paying these. And now the education that kids are getting in these northeastern schools and Ivy League schools is total shit. You can't even get it. You can't even get a job after you're done going to school
Okay.
there.
Some of the most brilliant minds in our country can't go to college. They cannot pursue higher education because they can't afford it. These are scholars that could potentially cure cancer.
Then they need to get a job, save their money up the way Dad and I did, or find a scholarship. If you're athletic, if you can do different things for scholarships, find scholarships, work, save your money, go into the airport,
asking me to pay for it is stupid.
go into the military, get your
Why do you always take everything so personally?
GI
Because
Bill.
that's who's going to pay for it.
That's how we did it.
You want my kids' generation and their kids' generations to struggle to live and work and go to school.
We worked, we saved, we got scholarships to get our butts through school. If you have rich parents that can help you, great. If you don't, you have to work to save the money. I don't think
You
it's
don't
fair
have
that
a
the
right.
government
You don't have a right to any education.
forgives all loans and every loan that you ever got if you never worked to get it.
So you don't even believe in public education then for like elementary, middle, and high school?
Not anymore.
A lot of MAGA husbands do not love their wives. Instead, they see their wives as live-in maids and somebody who could pop out kids for them so that they can continue on their white genes. They don't actually necessarily care about the women that are building their homes that they live with. And the reason I know that is because I have gotten so many DMs from MAGA men that I can't even list them all here. And they have all said that they find feminist women so attractive and that they would love to have a wife that doesn't depend on them, even though they put themselves into that position on purpose by wanting to be a provider type. So here are some of the messages just to prove to you this point, and also to show that a man doesn't have to like you to marry you. You just have to make his life better and more convenient. And the sooner more Republican white women realize this, the better our society will be. Because white women have historically and consistently voted against our own interests. And even if care for human rights isn't enough to move you, the fact that your husband probably doesn't love you and is messaging random leftist girls on the internet asking to see her coochie, hopefully that will be enough. Okay, bye.
We have some very important breaking news that not enough people are talking about. This MAGA father right here woke up on the day of his sentencing for indecent exposure to a minor and tried to unalive his entire family. As you can see here, he left a bunch of breadcrumbs on his Facebook page. Here's one of them saying, "I support Trump and I will not apologize for it." We'll take a look at some other ones in a minute. His 17-year-old son named Caleb unfortunately lost his life in this tragic event, and his 13-year-old son Bentley and 12-year-old daughter Kenzie survived but were transported to a hospital in critical condition. Unfortunately, one of his children is now paralyzed from the neck down because of what he did. He was convicted for exposing himself to a child in the care of his family's daycare between 2020 and 2023. And in the morning at 6 a.m. on the day he was supposed to be sentenced for this crime, he committed this atrocity, then tried to take his own life afterwards, but unfortunately failed. Here's a couple of his Facebook posts though, saying, "I'm back, did you miss me? See you on January 20th, 2025. Then he's got this picture of Trump right here saying, "Haha, you missed." And here's a picture of this fine gentleman with a Donald Trump statue. The idolatry here is crazy. And of course, he loved Charlie Kirk and was a big Christian, by the way. He even shared this post saying, "It's not happy holidays, it's merry Christian nationalism." The so-called party of family values has been absolutely silent about this story. I wonder why. Because it doesn't suit their narrative, and it shows what happens when people are poisoned by far-right extremist ideology.
I talked last week about how I don't let my MAGA relatives talk to me about politics and how I'm super rude about it. Got a lot of follow-up questions, so here we go. How can you still associate with nothing? Yeah, okay. It is not realistic for every Democrat in this country to stop speaking to every person who voted for Donald Trump. That is a leftist purity fantasy. A lot of people have, and I totally get that, especially if you are in a marginalized group and the vote of your relatives has screwed you. And you have tried to tell them that, and they still aren't listening, or they don't care, or they're mean to you. I get it. And also, if you live in a red or even purple district, creating an entirely blue bubble around you where you never interact with a Republican is probably not realistic. And there are dynamics and circumstances in a lot of people's lives, I would argue the majority of people's lives, that make going no contact with all of their family who voted for Donald Trump unrealistic. And that's the situation that I'm in. And the details of that are none of your business. Is being mean to them a good tactic? I don't care. My relationships with my family members are not a sports game. I'm not looking for a tactic. I'm not trying to win something. I've been arguing with people about Donald Trump since 2015. I'm tired. And they don't hear me, as I'm sure many of your relatives don't hear you. So well, let's get down and like show them a PowerPoint of all the data points about why they're wrong. No, that doesn't work. So when when my stepsister's husband sends me a screed of 400 words about some Fox News talking point, and I say, I'm not reading all that. It's not a tactic to make him think or feel any particular thing. It's just me not reading all that. And then I don't, because I have a life. Our party identities for both Democrats and Republicans have expanded beyond policy to things that don't make any rational sense. It is much worse for Republicans because they have a cult personality. They are in a cult. I also have some experience with like MLM cultiness here and like research around that. And the only thing you can really do for people who are in cults is to be there for them when they're done and hope that that day comes. And if they come to me with good faith questions, I will engage with that. A lot of people also wanted to know exactly what I say that's like super mean that gets them to shut up. It is very tailored to the person and their deepest and darkest insecurities. I'm not joking when I say that I am horrifying about this because I've said it so many times. I've hit the boundary so many times. So at this point, if you step over it, whatever. You get what you came for. So look, I support you going no contact. I support you arguing with them if you want to spend your time doing that. I can't do that anymore. I support you not doing any of that and just waiting patiently for them to come out of the cult whenever that happens. That's kind of the tact that I have taken. Do what's best for you and don't let the internet tell you what to do. That includes me.
I've been asked a lot about what to do with MAGA family members, and I don't know. I don't know what to do with them, which is why I just choose not to interact with mine. But there are two things that I do know for sure. The one is that you should not accept abuse from anyone. And if someone can't respect a small boundary of yours, they are not going to respect a larger one. I think right now we are sort of tightening our belts on the idea of being comfortable, and it's no longer about doing the thing that makes us most comfortable. It's about choosing which discomfort we'd rather live with. One of those things where there is not a right decision, and sometimes when I'm confronted with these scenarios, the way to put it into perspective for myself is to look for the things that I'm grateful for. When it comes to these topics, which keep me up at night, my own personal relationships with my parents and talking about them on the internet, that keeps me up at night, but I am so grateful that that's what keeps me up at night. These are the decisions I have to make, not whether or not I'm going to flee the country, not whether or not my kids are going to come home and have parents tomorrow because of the color of their skin. And when I think about it that way, cutting out the people who supported creating the environment for that to be the case becomes a lot easier. And honestly, as a white person, for me personally, it's the absolute least I could do.
Everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Anthony, and today we'll be discussing about MAGA parents and their interaction with their kids, or how do MAGA parents and generally their relatives, their wives, how they stay together, how they interact. Because what I think is that the political divide inside our country has even come to our families. Families are no longer talking to each other. Families are no longer even going to the cookouts together. Families are even not going to these family gatherings. They are not having these interactions anymore because of politics. So today we'll be discussing about how the hatred caused by MAGA has infiltrated even to our families.
Well, friends and fuckers, my family's currently in the finding out phase, even though we didn't fuck around. Over the weekend, my son and daughter-in-law received a letter from our state stating that my grandson, who's perfect in every fucking way, who also was born with Down syndrome, would be getting his services cut. Now, when my son told me, I was initially just immediately filled with rage and fear and tears, but not for my grandson. My grandson, his parents live in a tax bracket that, quite frankly, I've never even visited. Okay, he will be fine. They will make sure that my grandson gets those services that he needs. My fear and rage is for those families that receive that same letter who have no options. You can't just go out and get a third fucking job when you have a child with disabilities. When someone strips away your child's way of communicating, way of learning how to walk, your child's way of learning how to be a productive member in society, that has to be the scariest thing that you will ever fucking go through. And can you imagine being told by the federal government that your child no longer needs to learn, progress, or grow any further because we need to give that money to fucking millionaires and billionaires so they can get more houses and boats? Because that's what motherfucking happened, MAGA. You signed up for this. We told you this was gonna fucking happen, and here the fuck we are. I cannot even imagine those parents right now, because what do? There is no physical speech or occupational therapists out there right now giving out free therapies. These therapies are lifelines to parents. They are what keep you connected to your child. It's what helps you learn how to help your child progress. And the federal government just said, no, fuck you. They're not worthy. I'm in a blue state, by the way. I'm in a blue fucking state, and services are already being cut 7 months in. Things are not going to be great for people with disabilities in a couple years. And you fucking did this, MAGA. You fucking did this. You are protecting a fucking predator who gets off on taking away services to children. So you only get 2 motherfucking titles besides the title of biggest fucking piece of shit. Predator or predator adjacent, bitch. Pick, because you are one of them.
All right, so this was probably my number one question. Early on when I was trying to deprogram my father, what I would do is I would show him Fox News articles that cited BBC, Reuters, and AP News. A lot of times Fox News pulls articles from those news outlets and puts a right-wing spin on them because those news outlets are known for being credible and unbiased. Sometimes they'll say it within the article, but for example, this one right here, if you scroll down to the very bottom of the article, it'll say Associated Press contributed to this article. I kind of just kept doing that, and when he would read Fox News, he would look for the source that Fox News pulled from. And doing that enough times, eventually he realized that those news outlets were in fact credible and unbiased.
Okay. I'm gonna talk while I'm eating this turkey burger about some of the conversations I've had with my mother today. Just dropped her off at McDonald's because she refuses to eat anywhere else because it's too expensive in New York City. Anyway, so first it started, there's a bunch up to this point about abortion, about gun control, but we'll save that because that's normal. We are walking the High Line, and there is a beautiful Statue of Liberty, and it has an Iranian woman with her scarf to stand united with Iranian women right now. And I point at that and I go, oh, that's beautiful, that's amazing, like that's really great to see. And my mom goes, oh. She then is like, that is disgusting, like that is wrong. And I'm like, why? You don't stand with Iranian women, like this is okay what's happening? And she goes, it's disgusting how they have to wear those headscarves, like how dare they wear them? And I'm like, well, they're fighting it because they don't want to be forced to wear the headdresses, that they're standing against the Iranian Republic. Like, so that's what it's about. So you do stand with them. And she goes, well, then if they hate it so much, then why do they come to this country and continue wearing them? I'm like, well, if they choose to wear them for their religion, that's their choice. And she goes, well, they're in this country, they need to take them off. I'm like, okay. So then we change the subject, walk the High Line, do the little island. If you haven't done it, it's really pretty. Then we go to a coffee shop. I was like, we're going to find a coffee shop and we're going to sit outside in the meatpacking district, which is a great, fun area. It's gorgeous outside. So we go in, I order a cappuccino, and she goes, ugh, that's expensive. Whatever. And it's the woman, my barista was, I believe she was maybe Dominican, I don't know. She was of a brown tone, and she was really lovely, and she could tell there was a mother-daughter situation, and she was like looking at me and like laughing, so that was helping. And we leave, and she goes, I don't want a coffee, I want a Diet Coke. And I'm like, well, I don't know where to get a Diet Coke. You don't want to spend money on food, so where are we gonna go? And she goes, I want a Diet Coke. And I was like, okay, well, I'm Googling for a Diet Coke. And she goes, you know, that girl that served us was much nicer than you. And I go, you know what? She probably wouldn't have been as nice to you if she knew how racist you were against all brown people. And she goes, well, she spoke English and had a job, so she's okay. And I'm like, and another conversation earlier about the whole Iranian situation, I mentioned some comment. I was like, well, our country is literally a melting pot, especially New York City. Like, we all came through Ellis Island. Even we did. And she goes, well, Natalie, you don't know that. I was like, I do know that. We're white. We didn't come from this country. We literally had to have come over here because we are white. I did the 23andMe. There is no Native American in here. And she goes, whatever, Natalie, you don't know that. I'm like, oh my God. You guys. I was on day one, and she's here till Saturday. I dropped her off at the McDonald's. Guys, help me. Help me. That's all I got right now. Tell you later.
Are some of your MAGA friends and family trying to come back in your life? Because that's happening to me. It's happening to me. So I just received a message from one of my friends that I had to unfriend back in October. Because every time I would post something, he would write the most craziest shit on my post. And you could tell that he went down that red pill pipeline. Anyway, I haven't spoken to him since October. And all of a sudden, I get a message from him. Now, I don't know if he has Trump or regret. However, let's read the message together. I think it's kind of telling. Now, he said, I understand why you blocked me, but it's because you were a crazed Camilla fangirl. First of all, it's not Camilla. It's Kamala. Kamala. Then he said, not regretting wanting Trump to succeed. What does that mean? Not regretting wanting Trump to succeed. Don't like what's happening in Palestine, but we both know what's going on with that. Let me know if I am more balanced in my politics, and maybe I'll accept you back in my circle. Now, I blocked you. I blocked you. And now you're saying that maybe you'll accept me? Oh, hell no. And this is my answer. You voted for Trump, and you still act like you have no regrets, because I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to make any assumption that he regrets now. Meanwhile, this country is becoming a dictatorship. There is no room for conversation. Punto. And while my clock is playing in the background, let me know what you think about that. I haven't got a response back, but I'll make sure I let you guys know.
Can't decide if having the boundary not to discuss politics with my parents was a good idea or a really bad idea. It was a hard line in the sand my brother and I both had to draw a few years ago. I think especially after J6, it was like we can't even discuss the two different realities we live in, so let's just not discuss it at all. And it did appear to make things better because we weren't arguing about politics. To be clear, it's never my brother and I arguing with our parents about politics. It's my dad making everything political, even like your favorite type of cookie is a gay liberal choice, apparently. And by saying, like, do not talk about this stuff, do not bring anything up, I feel like it just made my dad more radical and isolated him from probably the two only sources of his life that have like an actual perspective on reality. By the time inauguration came around and Elon did his Roman salutes, I could not stand it anymore. I had to ask my dad, like, tell me you saw, tell me you know what that is and that you acknowledge that that's what that is. And he couldn't do it. He actually got mad at me for even making the suggestion. That's not a like, ask your fiance, he'll tell you. Oh, ask a man, he'll tell you. And he actually said to me that Kamala is the fascist. Kamala is the one who's going to oppress, would have oppressed. I can't even form the words to like replicate what he said to me.
I guess the whole point of me saying this, if anyone like is familiar with my little corner of the internet, I talk about emotionally abusive, neglectful, emotionally unintelligent parents and that effect it can have on us. And I haven't posted a lot of content because I decided that day that until you can tell me what's happening in this world with like an ounce of reality and realism, then I'm not speaking to you, because I cannot associate, I cannot be around fascist sympathizers. Anyway, I just feel like maybe if he was like less abusive of a person, emotionally less angry, my brother and I would have been able to like have these conversations with him over the years. But in reality, it's just been like he's just a very angry, scary man, and we shouldn't have to subject ourselves to it.
So thank you everyone who has watched this video to the end. And one question that I usually ask is how do even these parents who have kids with disabilities vote against the interest of their kids? When in the real essence, Trump promised to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and these MAGA parents with kids who have extreme healthcare needs go on to vote Trump. Tell me. So it's very saddening the situation we have in our country, where we have a scammer, a conman, a con artist, name them, who is able to hoodwink even our parents into voting against the future of their kids. You know, because the distraction that Trump has brought to the government, I believe it's irreversible. No one will be able to change the hatred, the divide which Trump has brought to our country. And you know what? Trump doesn't take credit. Trump doesn't take blame. Trump doesn't take responsibility for his actions. All he keeps doing is blame Obama. He says that Obama is the most divisive president we ever had. Is that really true? Tell me in the comment sections. And I see people claiming that you should not get mad at your parents for voting Trump. That's what I see people saying daily in the comment section. Yes, your parents or your relatives should come first before politics. But what about when these politics are driven by hatred and driven by any agenda that is against America, that is against our livelihoods? Should we continue interacting with these people? It's a complicated situation which I don't have an answer to, because as they say, blood is thicker than water. But let's hope things will get better. So guys, what do you think is the solution to uniting our country, to erase this hatred that has infiltrated our country? What do you think is the solution? Tell me in the comment section. How do you think that our country will recover from this? And these extreme politics, whereby even parents are not talking to their kids. Tell me in the comment section. What do you think will take to reverse the situation in our country? So let's continue engaging in these national dialogues. Let's continue attending these town halls and giving our opinions. Let's protest when necessary, and let's register as voters. And please, there is one request I have to make to you all. Ensure that in these elections you vote, because your voice doesn't matter in protest that much, doesn't matter in town halls that much, but the most voice that matters of all is on the ballot box. So make sure that you register blue, you lobby blue, you protest blue, you everything blue, and in the meantime, make sure that you vote blue. So guys, until the next video, thank you for your attention to this matter.